So, folks, we have to talk about the Michigan primary race that is going on right now. And I gotta say, it's pretty incredible stuff. We have gone from Abdul El-Sayed in last place back in November of last year to now dominating the field. All right? This is the latest polling in the Michigan primary race. And we've got our progressive candidate, Abdul El-Sayed, at 28% compared to Stevens at 18 and McMorrow at 17. Like, El-Sayed has run away with this race. I believe he's gained like 10% of the vote share over the past year. Or not even a year, 6 months, 7 months, and 7 months. And this is all despite the fact that mainstream media over and over and over and over again tried to attack him on the basis of his association with one Hassan Piker. You know, do you condemn Hassan? Became like a thing that just got asked all the time. And El-Sayed had a really impressive ability to make those people look really stupid. So instead, mainstream media wound up pivoting to just running think pieces. The Bulwark in particular was really notable for this. I've talked about it in the past, which is they ran like something like 8 pieces about Hassan Piker. I think there was some polling done on, you know, what percentage of people in Michigan know or care who Hassan Piker is. And genuinely all that really happened was that these establishment, you know, consultants, they just made more people aware of who Hassan Piker is. For those who don't know, one of the most prominent leftist streamers and content creators online, you know, in the country. Like, all of this really just kind of established and solidified Abdul El-Sayed's, you know, credentials, his bona fides, if you will. And so mainstream media has opted to choose a different route and avenue of attack. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit here today, because genuinely it's just deeply weird and deeply transparent what is happening here. And I do have to say, it makes my heart happy to see how ineffective all of the attacks from the establishment against the left have been in this cycle of elections and primaries, etc. Right? And for an example of this limp attempt to attack this Michigan Senate candidate, I present to you, this time it's not about Hassan, believe it or not. Instead, it's about the fact that he calls himself a physician. This piece ran in Politico, and I read it earlier today, and I found it deeply funny in like a darkly comedic way. All right? It's a weird thing to hang your hat on in terms of a biographical detail if you never actually practiced medicine, one Democratic operative said. Keep in mind, keep this phrase in mind, Democratic operative or Dem operative, right? Because this piece, it's just really silly. It's just a really silly piece. All right. Michigan Democratic Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed for years has publicly said he's a physician, but there's overwhelming evidence that he's had no experience as a licensed medical doctor. This April, he gave an interview to a local TV journalist where he talked up his credentials as a physician multiple times. In March, he told a group of Teamsters nurses that he'd been in enough codes to watch who really does the work, and that said that same month on a podcast that I've been a doctor my whole career. His LinkedIn profile currently says he's a physician, and late last month he called himself a physician and epidemiologist at a Council of Baptist Pastors debate in Detroit. So, what exactly is the problem, right? What exactly, like, they're mad that he's calling himself a doctor, and a physician. Why exactly? Right? According to a review of Michigan and New York State medical records, he's never been granted a medical license in those states. El-Sayed's hands-on experience treating patients appears to be a short clinical rotation called a sub-internship at a small hospital in Manhattan for 4 weeks at the end of medical school. He said in a podcast in 2022 that his job was to be the worst doctor on the team, because he was doing his residency in medical school. They are nitpicking this entire article that he has called himself a physician or talks about having practiced medicine and their counter to that is, well, you didn't practice a lot of medicine and you're not a licensed physician. How dare you call yourself a physician? Meanwhile, he holds multiple doctorates, and his entire origin story centers on his experience during his residency, where he then he treated somebody who came in off the street and later that day saw her back on the street and realized that he needed to do more and get into the systemic ways people become sick and become ill to fix not just the state of being of any one individual, but to fix the overall system in which people become sick as a result of systemic failures, right? So that's what his entire political career is. That. So this is all deeply, deeply weird, right? But then we get to this part. The perception in Michigan is that he is at least at one point in his life a licensed physician, said Chris DeWitt, an unaligned Democratic strategist based in Michigan. That apparently is not the case, and it blows up a big part of his campaign. And it was at this point I was just like, so the two people who've been quoted so far are just Democratic operatives. Who is Chris DeWitt? And I did Google it, and I found this from Crane's Detroit Business from back in 2010. Chris DeWitt has helped Democrats, but now he's helping Rick Snyder. Essentially, this entire thing, right? It is about how this guy has helped Democrats, but now he's helping Republicans, because he switched over to work on Rick Snyder's Republican governor campaign. This guy and his entire political consultancy works for Republicans and Democrats, right? He's a guy that you would never ask for an unbiased understanding of what is happening in a statewide political race. If you ask a political strategist who operates in that state, they are not unpaid, right? Politico here is quick to say an unaligned Democratic strategist, ostensibly because officially Chris DeWitt is not aligned or with any one campaign. But that's not really a guarantee here at all. Listen, maybe it was Ken Martin's buddy, John Operative. But let's keep going. Let's keep going here, okay? There's no doubt that El-Sayed has top-notch medical credentials. He attended the University of Michigan Medical School and ended up receiving his medical degree from Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons. He has a doctorate in public health from Oxford University and worked as an assistant professor of epidemiology at Columbia for a year before moving to Detroit to be executive director and health officer for the Detroit Health Department. He has earned the right to be called doctor twice over, El-Sayed spokesperson Roxy Rickner said in a statement. Rickner did not respond to questions about his use of the word physician. I don't know, it's some pretty interesting stuff, right? And, let's just scroll down a little bit more here. It's just about him using the word physician in various contexts. Here's another quote from the only other person quoted directly from having talked with the Politico journalist. It's a weird thing to hang your hat on in terms of a biographical detail if you never actually practiced medicine. just want to clarify, he did practice medicine as a med student, which is something that med students do during their residencies. Said Adrian Hemmond, a Democrat who is CEO of Lansing-based political consulting firm Grassroots Midwest. So every single person interviewed here is like a political operative that runs like a political consultancy firm in Michigan, right? And what is Grassroots Midwest? What do they do? Let's take a look. Oh, we have delivered wins for business and organized labor, Democrats and Republicans, environmental organizations and energy companies. Like, okay. You're mercenaries who will say whatever you need to in order to win. That's so interesting. That's just so interesting that you found a bunch of political consultants willing to shit talk Abdul El-Sayed on the day that positive polling comes out for him. That's so strange. It is a poor attempt to try and smear his campaign, and it's very interesting to see how weak it is. It's not that he hasn't done anything with all the fancy education that he's got, like running public health programming for Wayne County and for the city of Detroit. And so maybe you would lean into that as opposed to giving the people the impression that you may have practiced medicine before, Hemmond said. And it's just like, he literally worked in a hospital. Like, his origin story heavily focuses on being that physician who felt a higher calling to address the systemic issues of public health. It's so petulant, it is so nitpicky, Shupeng, and it is so pedantic, it actively repulses me. Absolute lack of riz. Like just the end of this article, let's just take a quick look at that, right? He dressed up in a white doctor coat in 2018 for an ad campaign. He published a description of his 2020... El-Sayed's publisher description of his 2020 book titled Healing Politics said El-Sayed was a physician who could heal the sick. In 2024, he said, many of my doctor friends call him a self-hating doctor because the way that we tend to operate tends not to put our patients first. One, I'm baffled by this, but also, oh no, his publisher wrote a blurb on the back of his book that called him a healing candidate. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It is so without substance. And like, this is what they've been reduced to, right? Because a lot of establishment Democrats and Democratic consultants are in the same boat, which is that they want to go conservative, but that leaves them with nothing really to run on. They have nothing to offer outside of just not being the fascists, right? And that's not really enough. That's not really enough. And that puts them in a difficult spot when they're going up against an honest-to-God socialist, an honest-to-God progressive, you know? Because progressives can actually offer a bettering of the material conditions for people who are struggling as working class citizens in America. And if you are someone who is trying to go tax cuts for the rich, but within the Democratic Party, you are left with precious little to be able to offer except for pedantry, except for this kind of absolute horse slop attack on another candidate. That's all you got. That's all they got. Yeah, this is like he wore a tan suit, but like from Democrats. It's crazy. But I just want you all to know we are in a time right now where progressives are running away with a lot of the Democratic primaries. And I think what we are seeing is the progressive movement in this country is coming alive. It is building up that political power. And my hope is that with this election cycle, with the midterms and 2028, that power can really come into its own as a force to be reckoned with in American politics. Because for a long time, progressives and those of us on the farther left have been on the outside of politics. And it's high time we begin to be part of the mainstream, normal conversation around politics. And I think we are going to get there. So, all that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words really help in the algorithm for whatever reason. Subscribe and join your local Dems. Make them more progressive. Kick out corporate establishment Democrats if you gotta, okay? And join your local DSA. Make them more effective. Spread a little bit of that New York City DSA across this entire country. Become the Zoran Mamdani of your city, of your, of your village, of your town. Like, be that person if you can. And if you can't be, build the foundation that someone like that would need. Organize. It is the only way we get out of all of this, folks. And all that being said, if you need help taking that first step, we got you, okay? This community is trying to get as many people involved in their local politics as possible. We can help you take that first step. Join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems, reach out to GamerG for help with your local DSA. We can help you get involved, get to your first meeting, do the things. We want to make that possible for you so that we can slowly but surely unfuck this entire country. Last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. Check it out. It is sexy, it is comfortable, and it is non-tucking lingerie. Go check it out. Link down in the description. ImogeneOlivia.com. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat deck is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, dating, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.